Hey, welcome back to the shop. My name is Dan, and this is where I build, maintain, and sometimes repair my model airplanes. So, anyways, it's been a while since I've been able to get out here and actually spend time with the airplanes. I've been working on a lot of other things, like this. Yep, I had to build 5 garden beds up this year and put the plumbing to them and everything like that, irrigation. So they are fully functional. And anyways, that has taken a lot of time. Plus, there's been a lot of other projects around the shop. There's been a couple of other projects on the side that, well, I'll share with you here shortly. But for the most part, just wanted to check in with you and say, hey, things have finally calmed down a little bit, so I should be able to get back on working on my airplanes. So anyways, what? Oh, this. Yeah. Had a little falling out with a good old friend of mine. This falling out, that was kind of clever, wasn't it? It was actually kind of funny. Anyways, yeah, had a little issue with a friend of mine here from, let me see here, I think I've been flying this one for 14 years now. And, well, I'll tell you about that coming up here. Hey, welcome back to the shop. It's really good to see you here again. So, yeah, I kind of had a little bit of a mishap, and it was stupid. It was doing something I never do, and well, let me tell you about it. So anyways, this plane and I, we have a big past. We have been flying for 14 years now. I can't even tell you how many flights that I have on this plane. All I know is I have gone through several batteries in its lifetime. And it's been a great friend to me. It's been a great plane to have around. And, you know, I know it's just a foamy. It's just an ARF. It's not that big of a deal. But the thing about it is, I think it's always important to have a plane within your fleet. I mean, I've got a lot of these other planes that are, you know, big gas engines, big airplanes, big planes that I built and stuff like that. Got some of those hanging around now. But the thing is, you know, every now and then you just want to have a nice, simple day at the field. And so simple often comes in the method of like this. I love Corsairs. I never, ever want to have a situation where I don't have a Corsair that I could be flying in my fleet. So for instance, like back there, there's a big, huge one I'm putting together right now. It's partially built, the fuselage is anyways. And just getting ready to kind of continue on with it. But I mean, that's a big plane. It's going to be 100-inch wingspan. It's got a very big engine. It's going to go on it. It's going to be awesome. But, you know, I always want to have some kind of Corsair to fly because it's a beautiful airplane. It's my favorite airplane. And this was the Corsair that I had that was flyable at the time. Yeah. It's nice to have something that is this simple because you can just take it, throw it in the back seat of your car. All you have to do is have, you know, a few of the batteries charged up that go into it. It's electric, which makes it so that there's less maintenance to do on it and keep up on it. It's very durable, all that kind of stuff. Well, it's durable to a point, I guess. So anyways, yeah, that's what I always liked about this plane was like, you know, if I didn't have anything I really wanted to fly that weekend or so, I could just throw this in the back and have a good time. I always had a great time flying it. I've done a lot of things with this plane in the past. There was at one point I was sticking a little tiny, this was back before GoPros, a little tiny camera on the bottom. You can see the mount right here that I used to use for it, and I would fly it around the pattern and get some pretty decent footage from it. But, you know, we've been through a lot together. So anyways, I was out flying it, and like I said, I did something I never do. I fly pretty much scale, which means that I'm trying to make the plane fly like a full-scale airplane would, you know, and look real in the air and maneuver realistically and stuff like that. That's pretty much the way I fly. Now, I believe in maneuvers and things like that, But you know, there's a lot of things that people do with airplanes that are not very realistic, like outside loops. Nobody does outside loops. Or, I don't know, I'm not into the 3Ding thing because, you know, a real airplane, full-scale airplane, can't do that kind of stuff. Besides that, it takes a lot more skills. It takes a lot, the plane needs to be set up differently. And I just never really got into that kind of stuff anyways. I like having a plane that looks real, flies real, and, you know, if I could recreate that with my thumbs, I'm happy. So, anyways, I decided to fly it upside down, which is, once again, something I never do. Rolls and loops and stuff like that upside down, that's fine. But I was deciding to just go ahead and drive it upside down. And when you fly it upside down, in order to keep it level, you have to give it down elevator to keep it level in flight. So I was flying it along, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to go down to the end of the runway and bring it on back upside down and see if I could fly over the runway upside down, because I've never done that before. And so I went down to the end of the runway. It was dropping in altitude. I was lining up to come down the runway, and I realized that the down elevator did not have enough influence on this aircraft to actually gain altitude in the upside down position. So it just kind of slowly lowered and lowered, and I've got the elevator pegged out to the down position, and it just kept going, and then onto the ground. And I'm pretty sure it hit here, broke this, and you know, the pilot, he's okay in there, but he's pretty scraped up here. The fin, not so much. And so it's like, well, it broke the fin into several pieces, and it was windy out there that morning, so all these little pieces just kind of blew away in the wind down the runway somewhere. And I just decided, you know what, maybe it's about time that I retired my old friend here. But back in the same situation again that I was telling you about, that one back there is nowhere ready to go. So what am I going to be flying as a Corsair? So let me show you what I did. I decided that I needed to find myself a replacement, at least until that one gets done. And this ended up being it. It's very similar. This is also a foamy with the full package electric motor in it. And it's, you know, it's a great airplane. It looks fantastic. I did make a modification on it. This one is called, it comes from a company named Arrows, which I'd never heard of before. But the footprint of this plane is pretty much identical to the one that I just set over there that was all beat up on the tabletop here. Yeah, it's pretty much identical as far as its size. And it's a little bit heavier because it's got some other options that the other one didn't have. So let's take a look at what that is. First of all, let me tell you, I did change the paint job in it. This one had a snake on the front end of it, right here. And it was a brown colored, it was an ugly paint job. I know you scale guys are gonna say, oh, but you know, that was a scale paint job. You really can't disfigure that. And I'm thinking, yeah, you know what, this is my plane. I'm gonna do what I want with it. And I'm gonna put something else on the nose art of it some way. But that's what was on there. It's kind of an ugly snake. It's supposed to be like a rattlesnake, but it doesn't really look like a rattlesnake. But I believe this is a scale paint job, but I'm just not interested in this particular one. So I went ahead and peeled that off. There was one on each side, and then when I peeled those off, it made it so that there was a big gash. It lifted the paint that was down there, so I ended up masking this off and repainting this, and I just picked a neutral color. I had some graphite colored Rust-Oleum, and so I went ahead and shot that on there. But anyways, this is how I'm going to get back to having my Corsair in my fleet. Now the cool thing about this particular plane is, well, let me show you. Okay, so there it is. Everybody's on right now. Powers to it. Got to be careful. I've got this thing set for safety, so hopefully it holds. Anyways, look at this. This one comes with lights on it. There, it's got the other wingtip light. Out. I don't know if you can see that. There it is. Boom, right there. So we've got our navigation lights as well as a couple extras on there. And then here's the really cool part. You ready for this? Let's see if I can get this here. All right. And it's got a couple of tanks on the bottom too. Fuel tanks. Those are removable if you don't want those on there, but I've got them on there for show right now. Okay, so here we go. Check that out. Yeah, this baby cleans up. No landing gear. Oh wait, there is landing gear. Yeah, so this is kind of an upgrade from the other one. Now, like I said, this plane is a little bit heavier. Part of it's because it's got a really nice paint job on it. The other one was just kind of the foam was kind of in the color that it should be. But this one's actually got a water-based paint over it. Pretty cool. So anyways, that's what makes this one a little heavier is those landing gear. Runs on the same size battery. The engine, I believe, is a little more powerful than the other one had. And that was an E-Flite one. That was back when E-Flite was making that size. E-Flite does not make that size anymore. They are making it's a little bit bigger size one, but I've heard it's also a very nice airplane. But, you know, for 230 bucks, I thought this was a pretty good deal. So I went ahead and got it. And we'll be test flying this one here pretty soon. As soon as I get a little bit of time, and the weather has been, you know, if you don't get out to the airfield right now, we've got the opposite problem we normally do. Usually it's either freezing and raining. Right now we've got, you want to get out there before hell starts. It's really hot out there. So we're having to get out to the field at like 7, 8 in the morning, and it adds some problems to your day. So I haven't been able to get there, but I will get there. We will fly it, and I'll show you what it looks like. So anyways, that's what the newest project that I've had just in the last few days. Okay, so what else is going on? Well, let's see. We got a big bunch of projects coming up. Between Mark and I, we've got a project we're going to kind of work on together. We each bought a Mustache Models DHC, there's a DHC2 Beaver, de Havilland Beaver. And so anyways, we're going to be building one of those. It's got a 90-inch wingspan. We've just got the motors and everything. We got all the pieces we need, but I added another twist. See, the Beaver is probably better known as a water airplane. And I'd never flown off of floats until about a month ago. I went out with Mark. We went to a meet that was in Medford nearby and joined those guys down there. And you know what? I've had these floats. I took my foamy, and I've had these floats that I bought at the same time I bought it, thinking, well, you know, if I ever decide on a float, I could always just put those on there. Finally put them on and took it, and man, float flying is... So anyways, we had a lot of fun with the float flying, and it turns out I really enjoyed it. So I decided there was a set of floats available from Mustache Models for this particular airplane. And I thought, what the heck, I'm going to go ahead and buy them, and I'm going to turn it into a float plane. I'll fly it off the ground for a while, but I would like to turn it into a float plane, and I think that that's going to be a lot of fun. So that project is coming up. Mark and I were just talking about this. We're going to get started on it fairly quick. He just finally got the motor for it, so he's ready to go. What? What? Oh, this? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about this. Looks like another one of my barn finds, huh? Yeah, this one was another one that was tucked into the back of the storage unit along with the spacewalker. You can see it's got the same paint job, all dirty and grimy. But yeah, this was my first real attempt at trying to make a model scale. And I flew it one time, and I just had this thing for GBs at one point. But the problem is GBs have a very low tolerance when it comes to landing. Most of them, when they land, they nose over. And in my case, it flew great. I got one flight out of it, and it was up in the air, flew around great. The engine ran fine, and everything was perfect until the landing came up. And what happened was I had the gear kind of recessed a little bit too far back into the wheel pant. And the wing is right over there hanging on the wall. Anyways, the wheel pant, when the wheels came in, the wheels kind of retracted up in there because it was a 5/32 wire kind of assembly underneath there, and they bent when the thing came in. And the wheel pants pretty much just grabbed the terra firma of the runway really hard, and it just kind of crushed the landing gear, popped the wing off, the front end went in, broke this propeller. And I'd worked so long on this airplane and had so many restarts on it, I was very discouraged at the time, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to throw that one into the back of the storage unit and let it age. And after all these years, I still really don't have a desire to rectify this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it all up, and I'm going to put a new propeller on it for show. And I'm going to hang it up here in the shop, and this will become my permanent hangar queen. I usually don't like to host hangar queens because, I mean, if a plane doesn't fly, what good is it? But this one had a lot of special meaning to me with it. It was something that I spent a lot of time on. It was like my first real interest in scale projects, and I wanted it to be fine. It's just a rough subject. It's just one of those kind of planes that, you know, you got to understand when you get one of these planes, it's going to be a big workout. So trying to train yourself how to fly it correctly, and that's what I've learned. So I'm going to go ahead and hang it up there. I do have another version of this model. It's a 1/4 scale, which is a lot bigger. This one here is about a 1/5 scale. And so anyways, I've got another one that's of scale that might be a little bit easier to work with. We'll see how it goes. And finally, the last topic is I want to show you what I've done with the conversion of my cargo trailer so I can haul my airplanes in it. Having airplanes of this size has been kind of problematic because they're bigger, and you know, you can't just throw them in the back of the pickup truck or anything like that. They could blow out, or pieces could blow out, and it's not very secure and all that kind of stuff. So I've got a trailer that I've modified up with wing racks, so it'll hold the wings while we're going to the field and tie down so that you could tie the fuselage in it. I'll run you through that later on. Today's a little bit too hot of a day for me to go out there and film it all for you, but I'll have a complete video just showing what I did to it. It's kind of interesting as well. So, but anyways, until then, gosh, get building something. I'll see you back here later on. Take care.